Future could sell a blank disc. That was my first initial thought.
Either I have the worst music taste or everybody else is fucking idiots. I thought the project sucked.
COVID was peak music.
But I would also go against you because there was literally nothing to do but make music.
The most iconic music video of all time with Bop.
He's like, ha.
Driving the boat, all this shit that they making. Stack out this gold, I tell you I'm on the road. About to get all this dough. Me and no fuck niggas know. I swear to God we the ghosts. This ain't the story they told. Man, if you know, then you know. I never had to tell my dogs that we on rough for greatness. They paper getters, they want money more
to
than they
me,
want
the YouTube creators are getting a lot of flack right now. And it's actually very interesting to me because you think about it, right? There's a lot of legacy companies. So let's just take Coca-Cola, for example. Like I'm wearing a Coca-Cola hat right now, right? Coca-Cola is a legacy company that has a lot of horrible, horrible products that kill a lot of people. No one cares. No one says anything about Coca-Cola. Or if they do, they suppress it because they have billions and billions of dollars, maybe trillions, honestly. Like, let's be real with ourselves. What I don't understand is in this era of YouTube products or like celebrity products, it's really just a bunch of creators trying to make things they already like. They want to disturb these old markets. And people are getting a lot of flack right now.
Well, it's personality-driven products because at the end of the day, like when you go to the grocery store, there's a lot of options, but a lot of those options are owned by about 2 or 3 companies. What the influencers are doing, which you're probably talking about Logan Paul, Mr.Beast, Jake Paul, who have launched these massive personal branded products. And the reason why they're getting flack is because people think they're trying to get their money back or it's not as good, when realistically at the end of the day, those products are probably 100% better for you because they're putting their personality, like, for example, Lunchables, right? Obviously, Mr. Beast and Logan Paul, what was the name of their thing?
Lunchly.
Okay, so Lunchables. The products in there are probably single-handedly some of the worst things you could possibly eat, yet when Mr. Beast and Logan Paul tag team that to make a healthier version, they get a bunch of flack for it.
But to me, it's like the people are going about it the wrong way because in my eyes, it's like people that are eating a Lunchable really don't care about what the fuck is in that Lunchable.
Because they're not educated to look at the back.
Yeah,
they don't know what red 40 is and yellow 20.
But they know it's not good for you.
Bullshit.
Like they know that's not good for you. They might not understand the extent of how bad it is for you, but they know they're not good. It's not good for you. So to me, in my eyes, it's like they're just disrupting an old market that has a lot of paid media behind it, which therefore causes more flack. Plus, you get a lot of clicks if you're hating on Lunchly right now. Like, it's just a fact, right? So I think that's a weird thing. But it is interesting how the Nelk Boys never really get heat about Happy Dad because it's an alcohol brand. They're not telling you it's healthy or anything. Like, it's booze. What do you mean? There's no real flack on that. And then I haven't seen Jake Paul get much flack for W. And again, it's like a men's health product. Like it's like deodorant, shampoo, whatever. A lot less. That's even more of the blurred lines. Like what the fuck is in this? You know what I mean? You really don't know what the fuck is in shampoos and shit. So I just think it's interesting where it's going and where it's headed. Because I feel like it's only going to go more in that direction, right? Because at the end of the day, I just watched Kyle from Nelk talk about Happy Dad to FaZe Banks, and he's talking about, after we sell Happy Dad. Like, that's their goal. All these celebrity brands, they know, let's disrupt these old grandpa markets because we know how to market, and then we're just going to fucking sell it for $1 billion and then be like, we're good.
Or go do another thing and then sell it.
But speaking of corporate entities just buying things, Kai Cenat just signed another celebrity deal with McDonald's. And McDonald's has had some pretty big celebrities over the year. They had like Michael Jordan. You know, Travis Scott was big in 2020 because that was like COVID. You know, that was kind of like a big time, kind of like really sparked things back up. Kai Cenat's doing the chicken Big Mac, which I actually think is a pretty good idea.
Is it fried or grilled?
It's fried. It's a fried Big Mac. But like to me, most of the other meals weren't like a created meal. Like I remember when Travis Scott did it, it was like with the Happy Meal, it was like the action figure, wasn't it? It was like 2 single burgers that you get in one, a fry and a Sprite.
There was no action. I thought there was like an action figure.
Maybe you did get like a Travis thing with it, but that doesn't really matter. I'm talking about like the meal was just like a regular, it was the meal that he always orders. This Kai Cenat one is like, they don't have a chicken Big Mac. Like he had to make that. So that was like his insider thing. Like, hey guys, when I would go, I'd order a McChicken with my Big Mac and I would take the McChicken patty and put it on the Big Mac. So it's actually kind of a little bit more unique in that sense where it's like, this is not a real item on their menu. It's kind of like the if you know item. And that's what I thought was pretty cool. Most of the other celebrities that have done it just do their order.
Well, I also think, and this is what we were talking about earlier when you brought this up, was McDonald's, what they do is not only do they run the world, they also have like unlimited money to do the Travis Scott collabs and the Michael Jordans and the Kai Cenat. And the one thing they do well is everybody grew up eating McDonald's.
Yeah.
So everybody can relate to it.
Yeah. I mean, McDonald's has fuck you money. They really don't give a fuck.
Well, they can experiment. They're like, fuck it. Let's just pay however much. We'll experiment it. But also, like, this is not going to fail. Kai Cenat is going to drive a lot of people there. And people who don't even know who Kai Cenat is, they're going to be like, this chicken Big Mac, I'll try it. Like, people who eat McDonald's will generally try that shit.
Bro, everyone has had McDonald's. Like, if you live in a place that has a McDonald's, like, you've had McDonald's once in your life. Like, it would be such a small minority of people that have not tried McDonald's once, right? And I think that Kai has the grasp on a lot of younger people. So to just drive those people to be like, I'm curious about McDonald's. I want to go to McDonald's. What drives people to buy shit? Their kids saying, I want this, right? So I think it's a huge play. And not to mention, I think it's even a bigger play because Kai just got dethroned as the most subbed person on Twitch. Iron Mouse, who's basically an anime girl who's never shown her face in her whole life. She suffers from some immune disorder that made her not want to show her face. So now she's essentially behind this avatar character.
But I just want to cut you off. I think the reason why like the no face thing does so well, as you know, it's like the mystery of it. It's like the Bitcoin shit, like with Satoshi. Like no one knows who the fuck it is. Yeah. So it's like kind of this lore that kind of grabs people in. Also, anime is making a massive anime is becoming.
Anime has always been big.
It's always been big, but it's like even like showing up in my shit, and I think anime is like ridiculous. Like I think it's dumb.
I mean, like
fuck,
our older brother was really big into anime, like the Dragon Ball Z era, and like so like I can remember like that kind of anime, and that's like the only anime I really know of. But yes, this
they did anime for Rick and Morty as well,
and that's how big it is, right? Like, and that's that. I thought that was a brilliant idea because I was like, that's such a niche thing that has the fan base is so tight that it doesn't matter how niche it is, they pull shit. Like they care about it.
And as we're going down this thing, I know we're kind of segueing a little bit. Did you see Rick and Morty's doing an animated movie as well?
No.
Did you see that?
No.
It looks great.
Yeah, I mean, everything is IP, and Zach and I talk about this all the time. Everything is IP. Moving forward, everyone is trying to hone on the IP. It's the same reason why there's Marvel movie 17,000 of superhero, because they know that superhero sells. They know they're not taking a risk. All these movie heads, studio heads know I'm making $50 million a year. I'm just going to keep my job and let's play it safe and not take a risk on this thing that no one knows about. So IP is always, always, always going to win on that front.
But I would love to know how much McDonald's is paying Kai Cenat for that deal. They might, and fuck it, dude, they might not be paying him.
No, I bet you it's probably in like the 4 million range, 4 or 5 million range.
That sounds about right.
I would say 4 or 5 million, depending on what it is. Maybe Kai has something in there where he's like, if I really drive shit,
but
I want kickback.
His name and face is also going to be plastered on every single McDonald's in the United States of America, which might even been like, hey, we'll pay you $2 million and we're going to put your fucking name everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, listen, I don't think Kai does anything. Kai doesn't do anything unless it's like a true partnership, like we're helping each other type thing. Because at the end of the day, like
he doesn't need anybody.
Kai doesn't need McDonald's. Like he's not making his brand bigger by going to McDonald's, because in fact, people that don't know Kai are just gonna be like, who's this kid? Like, what is the Kai Cenat meal? Like, they're not gonna have any idea what it is, right? And I'm sure the same thing they said about fucking Travis Scott or Cardi B, like that happens, right?
But I think this is actually a great segue why we're talking about Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat and Oshow Speed are about to be on Lil Durk's new project, dropping in about 3-4 weeks, which is insane. Which it goes back to the term we talked about Lil Durk, I think in our last podcast when we were kind of talking about DaBaby and how Lil Durk has been making music for 10 years. It's another incredible play by just a savvy veteran and Lil Durk, knowing how massive those two are. Of course they want to make a song with Lil Durk, because if you're in culture, of course Lil Durk is like one of the best out right now. But also Lil Durk being like, hey, come on my song. They might not even be that good at rap. And I mean, it'll probably be a good song, actually. But that is going to stream probably the best on the project.
You look at Kai's following, you look at Speed's following, they're fucking huge. And they actually matter. Like, Speed is doing a world tour right now and gets mobbed everywhere he goes. He gets stream sniped the second he turns on his stream. Like, that takes a sick amount of people, and it takes a very, very loyal fan base to do that.
What's stream sniped?
Stream snipes means like
they know where he's at.
They know exactly where he's at, and they go and find him, and then they you know what I mean? So, a brilliant move by Durk. I'm excited for another Durk project. Like,
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, Durk always is going to have some hits.
And honestly, hold on. Because I know we want to talk about kind of the new songs that are dropping. Do you think, I think, this might be the best year of our life in music. I want to say that. And then two, hold on.
I don't know about that.
Hold on. Before you answer. And then two, is this the most music that is like been dropping consistently, or is it just because we're like in it and always looking for it?
No, I think we're in it and we're always looking for it, because I actually think the opposite. I was thinking that it's kind of been like a little bit of a downtime.
No way.
I thought 2024 has been a little bit of a downtime.
No way. I think Drake and Kendrick put things on pause because people were like watching it.
I think
no one wanted to get in between it.
I think this
has been a busy year for music.
I think they've hogged the limelight. I think the only thing that anyone has cared about is Kendrick and Drake. And when it's all said and done and they do awards for 2024, Kendrick is going to clear the fucking, like, Kendrick is going to win
every time he
drops. It doesn't matter.
Drops.
Kendrick is going to win every single award. He's going to take the pile. Drake is also going to be in that little realm. And if The Weeknd drops, it's going to be about The Weeknd. If Kanye drops, it's going to be about Kanye. But outside of everyone else, like, you're in it too much to be in it. Like, no one cares. Like, I love Toosii to death, but like, no one's dropping everything and be like, I need the Toosii album. Like, in a sense, like, with culture.
But that's just part of music, though. I'm not saying people are stopping what they're doing and going to listen to Toosii at midnight tonight.
To me, the hottest time in music was peak COVID. Peak COVID, the artist that actually took advantage of COVID and started dropping stuff, whether it was a fucking 7-pack, an album, a mixtape, whatever the fuck it was. But COVID was peak music.
But I would also go against you because there was literally nothing to do but make music. Now everybody's back out in the world. And I think
that's why it was more powerful.
But what I'm saying, and you could get me on like, this isn't as much music that has ever dropped, but as far as being the best year of music, I think it's hard to debate with Drake and Kendrick beefing. Rod Wave's about to drop. Lil Durk's about to drop. The Weeknd might drop. Kanye might drop. Like, that's fucking incredible. I think Playboi Carti fucking dropped, and this dude's fucking never dropping.
In the words of Matt Damon, let's wait 20 years and we'll tell you if what was good and what wasn't. Because at the end of the day, I can look back at 2020 and be like, damn, there were some real fucking hits that came out there. Like, you can look back 5 years, 10 years from now and look at that specific year, 2018, for example, and we can be like, damn, there were some great projects now looking back on it in 2024. To me, looking at it now, the year's not even over, being like, this is the best. I don't think so.
I think it's one of the best.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's one of the best.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
hard.
think so.
How can you not debate that with two of the best artists ever beefing? You're getting Lil Durk, you're getting Rod Wave, possibly The Weeknd, possibly Kanye.
It's
like,
great,
that's
but like
crazy.
Tupac and Biggie beefed, you could argue then that was the greatest
no
time
one
of the
cares
year.
about
Because,
music back
but
in
yeah,
the
but
day.
then someone died. Both of them died over it. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that would have been a way crazier beef. They're talking about that beef today in 2024.
Because it's the what if,
it does
the
it,
legend.
Exactly. So then you can't argue it. Like, I don't think people in 20
I think that's
years,
a bigger moment. That doesn't mean it's the best music year.
But that doesn't matter. It's what impacted everything the most. Like, that music that was coming out, people would argue in that time was more powerful. I'm just saying, I think that Kendrick and Drake dominated this year. That doesn't make the best year in music ever. I think it was great for hip hop because I thought there was a downslope in hip hop music. But I don't know. To me, I don't think this was the best year in music. I do like that Drake has been dropping consistent music. That's great. Me as a Drake fan, I love it. But other than that, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's a normal amount of music that has come through.
Cool. All right. Well, anyways, as we talk about the projects that have dropped, obviously, like we just talked about, Toosii's about to drop tonight. We're doing this a day before, so Toosii's about to drop. Jaded, I'm excited to hear that. Rod Wave's about to drop Last Lap. Of course, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing for that. Then obviously, as we touched on, Lil Durk is dropping Love Songs for the Streets 4. Yeah. I think Love Songs for the Streets 4, which obviously I'm always excited when Lil Durk drops. Becoming a real selfish favorite of mine. Probably
Yeah,
top 3 in my book.
I like his love songs for the streets because it's always more of his like slower music. I think Durk is gonna kill it. Like I like this Durk project that's coming out. I didn't see all the track lists that's gonna be there, but I'm excited, dude. Durk doesn't need anybody, and it's gonna be a great album.
He has Rod Wave and Morgan Wallen on one song. I think that's gonna be electric.
That's interesting. I mean, Morgan Wallen and Post Malone have had the number 2 song on Billboard for the last like 3 months.
This is like the 3rd song Lil Durk and Morgan Wallen have done together.
Bro, Morgan Wallen sells, bro. Morgan Wallen sells.
Of course.
You know who I was thinking about? Who's been actually like really killing it? Shaboozey.
Oh, he's
Shaboozey's crushing it right now, and you know it's interesting because like his song Tipsy, like 6 months ago that was a big song, and now it's like really hitting its waves. I got some numbers for Shaboozey here. I thought this was very interesting. So he's obviously got the number 1 song on Billboard right now. It's been number 1 for the last 12 weeks, and it's been on the chart for 24 weeks. I saw somewhere that if your song is number 1, that means you're making at least $1 million a week from that song. So 12 million from a song? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the song is great. Tipsy, it's actually great. It's catchy.
Low key, that's a song that gets played 10 years from now, and you still remember the song.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's one of those songs.
But you also have to play into it. It's also the look. He's a black guy making country music, so like that's always gonna play. But dude, it's a fucking hit. The project he dropped it on, the whole project's really good. Like he is good, and I'm really excited to see where he kind of takes this. I also feel like at some point he's gonna kind of transition in like the R&B rap with the country a little bit. A lot of like what Morgan Wallen has done in a lot of ways.
I mean, like Morgan Wallen took hip hop. Like I think that's why Shaboozey kind of just took over that wave of country music because all these white dudes were just making hip hop country.
Yeah.
And Shaboozey was like, I'm going to do it way better. Same reason why Beyonce's doing it. Same reason why Post Malone's doing it. Like there is a shift. And I think that all started with Drake when he made the house music album. You know, Gordo put me on the wave.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely started the transition. I also think country is just a whole nother audience where you can cross over your current audience into a brand new audience that would never listen to you, which I think a lot of these artists are doing. But I also think like Post Malone, I think Post Malone is just like a complete artist where he could make country or rap or R&B. He could fucking make rock music. Like Lil Wayne did a fucking rock album.
Yeah, I just feel like country music is like more acceptable at most things. Like right, like corporate things, like in a grocery store
everywhere,
right? But like for example, like in a grocery store, or like even better, LA Fitness. Like there's a mix that plays at LA Fitness every day that I hear that's like bullshit radio songs. Like they're not about to put some fucking 42 Doug on that bitch. You know what I mean? But they're not. And so it's like at the grocery store, you're not listening to Lil Baby, like, but they'll play Tipsy. So it's like
if there was a grocery store doing that, DM us, and that'll be the only grocery store I shop at.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
But all right, I really want to get into some of the projects that have actually dropped. So we're about to talk about Future's mixtape. Let's
start with Pluto. Let's start with
that. So Future mixtape Pluto. Joshua, what'd you think?
I thought it was pretty uneventful. Honestly, like when I heard it for the first couple of times, my initial thought was like, 1, Future could sell a blank disc. That was my first initial thought. 2, this will not beat any of his classic albums. Like that was very clear. And to me, it felt like a lot of like unfinished songs. Like it didn't feel
they
like
were his throwaways.
Yeah. And here's my pushback on all that. I think what a lot of artists fail to do is experiment things, and that's why I think Future called this a mixtape, was because now I can be a little bit more experimental. If it's an album, I have to be this thing, right?
It's got to be perfect.
And I was just thinking about that because I was like, why the fuck is like, what's a mixtape now? What's an album now? What's an EP now? What's a single? Like, it's all just meshes together. It's just song on my phone, right? It's just this thing on my phone. So it's like, to me, doesn't matter if it's an album or a mixtape. When I see mixtape, I think experimental. That was kind of experimental. It was kind of like, kind of the same like mumbly Future stuff.
I could not believe the tweets I was seeing before I listened to it, and then after, of people being like, this is fucking great. I literally was like, either I have the worst music taste or everybody else is fucking idiots. I thought the project sucked, to be honest with you. I think there was a couple songs on it that I'm like Too Fast comes to mind. Like I've kept listening to that song. That song's good, but you're 100% right. Future could sell a blank disc. He's top 5 in the game no matter what. He's always been someone who's dropped a lot of music. He's built up the fan base. Obviously, he's got songs that are fucking like certified diamond. So he is a hit maker.
Yeah.
But I think you were spot on with like the experimental. I think mixtape, like DaBaby dropped a mixtape. Like it kind of, I think what it is, it's like how it goes into like their library of music, and it doesn't like get put up for awards, and it doesn't really matter how it streams because it's like it's a fucking mixtape.
I mean, but like that's the thing though. A mixtape can win an award. Like a mixtape can win an award because Chance the Rapper changed that. Originally, you had to have a selling album to win a Grammy, and that's why Chance was like, "They're gonna make me sell my mixtape to make it be up for an award," and he was like, "Fuck it." He's like, "I'm gonna give it away for free."
Well, it was Chance the Rapper, I think, on Coloring Books. That's the only project
That's
I
what it
ever
was.
listened to.
Shame
of
on you.
of Chance the Rapper.
Shame on you.
I thought acid rap was awful. But
Shame on you.
anyways,
Shame on you.
he was the one that's like, "Am I the only one to give a damn about a mixtape?" Like
Yeah.
that was him. And like now, it was funny because Pluto drops a mixtape, DaBaby drops a mixtape. I'm like, are mixtapes coming back? And obviously, it's like, what the fuck's a mixtape, anyways? But yeah, at the end of the day, Futures.
in 2020,
I won't listen to it again.
in 2024, mixtape equals this is experimental, and I think Young Thug did it the best. Like there's some Young Thug shit you're just like, what the fuck was he doing? But then at the same time, you're like, you can't get the great if you didn't experiment there. You didn't push the line a little bit. So that's where I find it. And the same thing with like Lil Yachty's Poland. Like he hated that song. He was like, oh, I was just fucking around in the booth. Everyone loved it. So it's like, it's those fine lines of like what's cool, what's not, but you have to experiment with that. And I want to just go off of the future mixtape Pluto was projected to sell 120,000 to 135,000 units. It's number 1 right now on Billboard, which is like, that's where I said, I was like, Future could sell a blank disc, because I'm like, this is not a number 1 Future album. Like, I know number 1 Future. I love Future. When I hear this, I'm like, this isn't his best work.
I thought he was memeing.
No,
The first 3 songs, I literally thought I literally thought I was getting punked.
That's where I think I'm like, Future's so good that I think he's kind of just like, he's just experimenting. He's just trying things out. He's just trying to do things a little differently. And I respect it. And I'm also sorry, guys, if you hear a fucking ice cream truck noise in the background.
We're in the hood, so.
Yeah, you just get that sometimes in Jersey City.
But here, I touched on DaBaby's mixtape. Did you get a chance to listen to that?
I haven't really looked at it much. I was looking at it a little bit. I tried to do a little research on it, but no, I haven't listened to it at all.
It was actually really good. It was pretty good.
To me, it's like when I see DaBaby, I'm like, DaBaby had his moment. He has probably the most iconic music video of all time with Bop.
Yeah.
The one shot, like that's
He's
the
like,
most, that's the most iconic music video of maybe my lifetime.
I agree.
So I'll always give DaBaby that, and I think he had his moment. And he did a very good job with it. But to me, it was like, it's kind of like that one shoe. You know, he just always in that same lane. So it's like he will always be good for 1 or 2, 3 good songs. But I'm not like going into it being like, fuck, I need this DaBaby album. I'm looking for a complete project.
I don't think it's that. But he's worth the listen for that 1, 2, 3.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So.
But that's where I'll wait the second or third week before I give it a listen.
Interesting.
Because I'll kind of wait and see what people are fucking with, what are people liking. Because it only takes a week before you're like, oh shit, there's a couple front runners and like, what is the best song on this album? And I normally am not the guy who rides with the unanimous best song on the album. But normally when it comes like a DaBaby, I normally am on that wave of like, okay. And when it comes to Drake, I'm normally like, no, least listened to song is by my favorite. You know? So it's like, it's very different in that sense. So it goes wave to wave. Did you listen to Lil Tecca?
I did. My take on Lil Tecca is he's a way better version of Nav with just being uber consistent. He also produces, and this motherfucker's 22 years old.
Yeah.
He is really fucking good. And I think why he doesn't get like a lot of push is he's kind of like nerdy in a way. So like people are like, the music's good, but like he kind of plays the rap and it's like, but he's like a nerd, you know, like so I think that kind of hurts him a little bit.
Yeah.
But the music is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Lil Tecca is very talented. Like very, very talented. To me, I think the consistency almost weighs out of his favor And that's where like you come in
we talk about Nav a lot.
Yeah.
Where he's so consistent.
Yeah.
It's like people don't like it.
Yeah, most people will turn it on and be like, "Oh, it's the same thing every time." Like, blah, blah, blah. There would be a couple
But
of good
Lil
hits.
Tecca, but I don't even want to put Lil Tecca in that group. Lil Tecca has different sounds.
No, but
He
that's
floats on the beat.
that's where it comes in. You can tell people that started very young. Same thing with like Kodak Black. Kodak was rapping at like 12 years old, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Like it's effortless to him, and you can kind of see that with Tecca as well, where he's effortless. He's not in there forcing anything. That's why I wish. In my sake, I wish Tecca did a little bit more in that realm of like, you have that younger generation, do a little bit more of that younger gen as well. Make the music videos that are cool, do the fucking social media, maybe live stream a little bit, go on with the fucking Aiden Ross, go fuck around, do some freestyling, because like you have that bug. I wish I would let him see that more, because he's kind of a guy where he drops and then he disappears.
Yeah.
And I don't like that as much. But again, he's making a sickening amount of money, I'm sure, at 22 years old. So it's like he's probably fine.
I'm happy you touched on the content part, because that's for me. Like I literally listened to the project and I immediately went to his Instagram. I'm like, what's his Instagram look like? And I was like, it just feels like a miss, right? And it's hard to say it's a miss, because it's like he's got almost 3 million followers on Instagram. Like he's obviously doing something. He has a fan base. Like if you have over 1 million followers on Instagram, like you're fucking cool. But it's just such a miss, and I think that comes when you're like uber talented. You're like, well, I don't need to do that shit. I'm just gonna focus on the music. But it's like, nah, you actually have to do the content, because it then feeds your music.
Yeah.
Like look at fucking Drake. This dude's posting fucking twice a day.
But it's like, to me, and this is what I never understood, right? Like, you are already paying for all this shit. Like, you have a label that's fronting you this money that you have to give back to them, and like they're paying for your studio, whatever it may be, right? Why the fuck are you not paying some kid $40K a year to follow you around everywhere you go? He just travels with you and he just videos you, takes pictures of you, and he just is constantly posting pictures of you on Instagram. Make a couple fucking little reels for you on Instagram, a couple on TikTok, post to your fucking, like, it doesn't have to be this high-end shit. That's why I like look at a guy like Lil Russell, and I know we always bring up Lil Russell, but it's like, it's not that hard to just have someone in your corner. You don't gotta have this hi-fi thing. You need a fucking iPhone. You need an iPhone.
Lil Russell's a great person, but I think you're not giving one person credit that we've actually talked about in this, and that's Toosii.
Oh yeah,
he is very, very, very much on social, and he does a lot of like making songs at IG Live.
Yeah,
he's streamed a little bit. Like, great personality on social media. Like, you can't weigh that out. Like, it's almost you can be the biggest artist in the world and not make the best music at this point.
But that's
because
why
of social.
But that's why I think Toosii has been so successful, is because he's done all those things. He's done all the right things, and that's why he had a number one. Like, to me, you can only get a number one song, I'm sorry,
when you're relevant.
Not if you're relevant. You have to have the machine behind you. You have to have people that, like, the label has to want you to be number one. Like, it's a reality. No one is number one unless they want you to be number one. You have to be pushed by the machine. It's the only way.
It was Russ that said that, right?
Yeah, but it's real. It's real. It's like anything.
Yeah, of course.
Listen, I think about this all the time, and I knew it right when it happened. Think about Netflix, right? They do a top 10, right? When that top 10 first came out, I just thought to myself, I'm like, this is really smart. Not a day went by, and I was like, you know what? I know exactly what they're doing here. They're going to start feeding all the shit that they make to number one. Now you go on Netflix, 8 of the 10 are all made by a Netflix studio.
Netflix originals.
Exactly. So that's what makes me think. Everything is like that. The music industry is the same way. Universal owns 80% of the fucking artists that are on Billboard. You don't think that Universal has a say in who the fuck they want on the number one?
Of course.
Come on. Of course they do.
We already brought up Lil Russell, another good person to talk about again. He literally was just tweeting about, like, the other day, that we need a whole reset, because he's like, it used to be cool when you had an article written about you. Now it's like you can fucking pay for one even if you suck.
Listen, if you see someone with an article about them, 99.9% of the times, like, I work in this industry. I live it every day. 99.99999% of it is bought and paid for. 99% of it. If you see it like, oh, my favorite artist just got a Billboard article. No, that was paid for. It was bought and paid for. Everything is. Everything is fake. There's nothing real on this earth. Like, you have to understand that. If you're number one, it's because they pushed you number one. And I know we were just talking about Shaboozey being number one, but the label in the industry is profiting a fuck ton from Shaboozey. All the white ladies in fucking Idaho are playing a fucking black dude who was making R&B music a fucking couple years ago. Like, that is why it's so powerful. Like, there's a lot of power in that. And I think people don't understand it. Like, you have to have the machine behind you. And that's what it is, really.
I think that's a great place to leave it.
Yeah.
So if you made it this far, drop a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe. And if you definitely made it this far, we want to send you a wristband. We want to send you a wristband.
So what you
comment wristband, please.
So comment wristband, but to go even a step further, go on to Instagram or go on to TikTok and go at @TheReal_Oshow and actually DM us wristband. Then we can get your address. Because here's the thing. When you comment it on YouTube, I don't want to ask for your address for everyone else to see. It's not like we have millions of followers. I just want some creepo to have your address.
Agreed.
So DM us personally on Instagram.
We appreciate it. Until next time. Love you.
I gotta stack up this gold. I tell you I'm on the road. About to get all this dough. Me and no fuck niggas know. I swear to God we the ghosts. This ain't the story they told. Man, if you know, then you know. I never had to tell my dogs that we on